I am the person called human. Go fuck yourself. Listen, men going their own way came about because these fragile snowflakes are just pissed off at women with no other depth to them at all. Lesbian feminist propaganda.
Not all women are like that.
Spreading their beefy wizard sleeves to young men. Or any isms like leftism, communism or feminism. Yeah, keep listening to your foundationally lesbian-minded feminists. Sexy mayhem and danger over here. MGTOW is also maturing contemporary. Fuck off. You are fucking idiots. Fuck off, grow a brain, only because of society being stacked against men's self-actualization today. Doctor Who is essentially cross-dressing.
Oh god, another fucking MGTOW. I mean, why do I do this to myself? Hello there everybody, and welcome to episode 45. 40 fucking 5, can you believe it? Of The Descent of Man-osphere. The series where I take you through the ways in which the Man-osphere and its utterly disgusting, deplorable douchebag inhabitants are trying to reverse human evolution and drag us all back into the fucking sea. Which is especially odd given the name of today's wanker. Yes, we're dealing today with huMAN. Yes, and huMAN, I think, is a man. I mean, I could be wrong, I'm not entirely sure because, you know, he's such a subtle creature. Yes, and huMAN is a MGTOW, one of the men going their own way, who exist basically to hate women. That's basically their entire fucking deal, regardless of how much they want to protest to the contrary. Yeah, they're just about woman hatred.
There are two things women bring to relationships: complaining and orifices. Look, put it this way, ladies, and I use the term ladies facetiously. Society cannot afford you girls, nor can men individually these days. Stop treating women with the same intellectual respect as you do men. Point to one single example where women don't take advantage of free stuff and concessions. One look at any department store sale and how women turn into absolute hyenas, let alone if it was given to them for free, should put any question about women's vile capriciousness to rest. Think about this. This is the female mind, the child's mind. So given this female or gynocentric social mindset, how do we grow as people? How do we learn? Well, the answer is we don't. And gynocentrism doesn't want you to either. And only having a child's capacity, they expect your intellectual ambitions to have the same lazy, low bar as they do. This all reinforces to me the notion that the majority of women are incapable of true morality, cooperative balance or self-determination.
Yep, huMAN is just another example proving that the MGTOWs are just about woman hatred. Nothing more, nothing less. Although their attitude towards men isn't great either. Yeah, huMAN, typical for a MGTOW, likes to whinge and complain and fucking whine on and on about the supposed shaming of men that they claim is absolutely rampant in society.
Despite the shaming of men, men are increasingly embracing going their own way. The desperate shaming language that men get, that's what their shaming amounts to. Collectively is not a solution at all, but rather it's the same old desperate schoolyard one-trick pony of shame.
But I think we all know what's coming now, don't we? Hypocrisy ahoy!
You, sir, are a schoolgirl. I remember going to HR a few times and citing this unfairness, to which the Nancy boy working there said,
You're right, but that's unfortunately the policy.
Within today's gynocracy, and especially online, with this sickening display of white knights, the lazy gender who hasn't earned it gets it from the cuck society. And here's the crux of my continual beef I have with these childish women and the male cucks that excuse their little innocent angels. So is there any surprise at the sea of male bitches we have today?
Yes, huMAN, along with basically every fucking MGTOW it seems, has the line that shaming of men is really fucking bad and you shouldn't do it. Except that any men who aren't exactly like them are pathetic little bitches. Yeah, what fucking utterly clueless scumbags they are. Now, I'd like to take you all through the amazing arguments that huMAN makes in his videos, but He sort of doesn't, really. He doesn't tend to make many points at all. His videos are frankly fucking pointless. He likes to dress them up as sort of philosophically interesting, or, you know, about topics that are newsworthy within, you know, MGTOW spheres. But basically, all of his videos are about this.
Men going their own way. Men going their own way. MGTOW. And MGTOW is men going their own way.
Yep, the content that huMAN creates, very much like most of his MGTOW acolytes, it's just self-absorbed, navel-gazing circle jerkery. It really is just intellectual and philosophical soggy biscuit. So there isn't actually much, you know, for me to take you through, as it were. But there is this little morsel I'm going to have a little quick peep at for you, with you, and you. What the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, there is this little morsel, although it is still self-absorbed shit about how huMAN doesn't want to have kids. Although there are a few points I think that are of note that shine a little bit of light on the kind of bullshit thinking that huMAN and his MGTOW friends like to engage in. So let's take a look at his typically weirdly named video entitled Non-Reproductively Minded MGTOW. Yeah.
First off, look, I respect the man who's decided to go his own way. Emphasis on his own way, not anyone else's. And, you know, just do his own thing with only his own rational self-interest motivating his life. One sharp clarification I wanted to make, though, was when I talk about angry guys out there, and this is just my view, that are stuck in that red pill frustration, I'm not condemning it per se. I know it's often a natural and necessary reaction after having one's rose-coloured glasses removed.
Now, this is actually one aspect surrounding these monospherian pricks that's often overlooked, even by people like myself who sort of chronicle their fucking bullshit, right? That being the red pill rage thing that he just mentioned, because I do have to agree with the thing he said, partly at least, in that there are a lot of angry young men around today. Now, there may always have been. I don't really know. I suspect there would be to some degree, but I didn't live in the past, so I don't fucking know. But where I differ from this cockhead is that I would suggest that he's very much part of the fucking problem. Because huMAN and his MGTOW acolytes, along with the MRAs and the PUAs / neo-masculinists, or whatever the fuck Rushby has decided to call his band of would-be rapists, or indeed actual rapists, or, you know, whatever he's decided to call that fucking group this week, their collective efforts, all of those groups, are to make the situation significantly worse and to pour fuel onto the fire of this young male anger. They aren't actually helping these guys, they aren't revealing amazing truths or anything like that. No. They're just making the situation worse. They're just offering scapegoats for these young angry men to hate on. Those scapegoats generally being women, although sometimes it's ethnic minorities or immigrants or certain religious groupings or whatever, right? But they're offering those scapegoats for the angry young men to hate on, which doesn't actually help those young men. Actually, it makes the situation significantly worse, because it further alienates them from the society in which they live, which is the fucking problem to begin with. That they already feel fucking alienated, so you're just gonna fucking push them further away from the society and force them into essentially perpetual fucking loneliness. And the most sickening element of all of this is that not only are they scuppering any chance of long-term happiness or fucking healthy romantic relationships for these angry young men, but they're doing it for their own financial fucking gain. I mean, these are some seriously sick bastards.
I understand. All the investments you've made thus far, and I'm not talking the material ones, are thrown away, are worthless, because you cannot deny the truth now. I've been there. But I also remind myself of why I went my own way.
Let me guess, is it because you're a fucking prick? That's what I'm going to go with.
Why I went my own way. Away from the shackles placed on me by others, away from all the cardboard cutout bitches wanting a father figure on steroids.
Yeah, I was right. It's because you're a fucking prick. And a hateful, delusional one at that. What a winning combo.
And the facetiousness I direct towards red pill rage is just tough love, gentlemen, that's all. I want you guys to get past it. Get past all your attachments and your resentments.
If you really want to help these young men get past it, as you say, then why are you telling them things that will only keep them angry and lonely forever, you fucking twat?
That while I'm quite content in my own life now, I realised that men are very addicted to the biologically induced vaginal journey. It's usually the only driving force to them. No doubt it's nature's feel-good way of injecting purpose into the average man's life too, when he cannot, will not, or simply doesn't care enough to find a reason beyond the female for living. Gentlemen, women aren't everything. It bears repeating. Women are not everything in life. The average woman out there is barely anything.
And in that one small clip, you have the absolute quintessence of the manosphere. The first half of it is something potentially positive, teaching young men that women aren't everything, that they shouldn't allow a situation where their self-worth is determined exclusively by how attractive they are to the opposite sex, and that they should learn a kind of self-actualised masculinity, and learn about self-love and self-improvement, and generally being contented with yourself on the inside. That would be an incredibly positive message to send to these angry young men. But no. All of that is completely fucking destroyed by the second half, which is basically all women are worth nothing. A potentially positive message about masculinity turned into just outright woman hatred. And basically that's all that this movement actually is about. It's not about trying to help men, it's not about trying to help ease the anger that is felt by these young men. It's about their hatred of women. And solely about their fucking hatred for women. It's fucking pathetic.
From my perspective, and this is only me, I had no desire to be in a lifestyle of managing dependents, that is, women and their offspring, and playing this childish game of dollhouse. Almost without exception, I see it at barbecues, shopping malls, on the street, and catching up with friends and family, everywhere. Men's conversation dumbed down to that of children and wives.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, you must have the most depressing life ever. Everywhere you go, you see these men sort of talking about their life achievements, having kids, having families, all of that sort of positive stuff. And you see that as an inherent fucking negative. I mean, the worst thing is, you're not just a fucking loser. You're a loser who enjoys wallowing in being a loser. What a fucking embarrassment of a person you are, you dickhead. Now, as I said earlier, there really isn't much depth to huMAN's content here on the YouTubes and all the rest of it. He really doesn't have much to him at all, so there isn't much for me to look at. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take you through some MGTOW terminology that huMAN uses quite often as a sort of partial examination of the ways in which these MGTOWs think. So firstly, there is this core MGTOW concept.
Women are momentary junkies. One look at the schoolyard or women's roller coaster friendships with each other should tell you a lot about female nature. Open the gates to female nature, their universal female nature. This is female nature, it's female nature.
Yes, female nature, which is the MGTOW idea that all women behave in exactly the same ways for exactly the same reasons. Basically, the idea is this, right? All women are evil sluts. I mean, that's basically it. That is the whole sort of crux of MGTOW as a concept, really. And it's basically a reflection of the hatred that the MGTOWs hold towards women. But in a deeper sense, it's actually just a reflection of the hatred they hold for themselves. It's all rather sad, to be honest. Now, within the broader framework of the MGTOW concept of female nature, there is this equally ludicrous idea.
This is hypergamy, and these are a million other important truths, as it's another part of a female's hypergamous repertoire to their hypergamy that resides in women.
Yes, hypergamy. Now, don't get the MGTOW use of that phrase mixed up with its actual sort of sociological one, right? Because in a traditional academic sociological sense, hypergamy is simply the act of marrying up. The act of marrying someone of a higher social class or caste in order to try and improve one's societal standing. However, the MGTOW use of the word hypergamy is rather different to its academic usage, which is not surprising given that the MGTOWs really aren't interested whatsoever in, reality. Reality really is not something that the MGTOW mindset gives two fucks about, to be honest. But anyways, yeah, the MGTOWs don't see things in terms of class differences and stuff. They more see society as more or less alpha, or more or less financially able to essentially sort of buy women. They see women as sort of temporary property or some fucking shit anyway, and they're mental, right? There's no point even trying to fucking get into their heads properly, because it's a Dali painting. Yeah, it's fucking mental, right? But basically the MGTOW concept of hypergamy is essentially that women will cheat on and eventually leave a man of lower alphaness or lower financial ability to temporarily buy her pretend love or whatever, because they basically don't think that women are capable of love. And they use the phrase monkey branching, the idea that they're going to swing from one branch to a higher branch up, and that's their version of hypergamy. And they believe that this is an intrinsic, innate, biological thing within women. But the problem with the MGTOW concept of hypergamy is that it's utterly and completely refuted by reality. Like I said, they're kind of oblivious to reality, really. And that is especially the case with huMAN, when you look at where he gets his ideas from about hypergamy and female nature and all this fucking bullshit.
I remember talking to a good many women back in the day when Sex and the City was at its height in popularity. That Sex and the City, I always reference Sex and the City. I watched that series when it was out just because I was taking notes on every episode. It was like a big learning thing for me in terms of women.
Yes, huMAN seems to genuinely think that the fictional television show Sex in the City is an appropriate source of information for half of the human race. Which might have some validity to it if all women were upper middle class Manhattan socialites, which they're not. So it isn't huMAN, you fucking prick. Now, another core MGTOW concept that huMAN uses to basically explain away anything he doesn't like in the world is this load of old shite.
This is one of my biggest irritations with gynocentrism, feminism and politics in the eyes of gynocentrics. Gynocentrism is changing words and their meaning so often. So you gynocentrics, the gynocentric rationale, just like Marxists, gynocentrists will tell you openly, we don't like the facts, so the facts must be wrong, comrades.
Yes, gynocentrism, which the MGTOWs seem to believe is the absolute core of the way in which the Western world is run, which is untrue. Now, in terms of a definition of gynocentrism, I'm going to give you two. Firstly, I'm going to give you the dictionary definition, because that seems to be broadly basically correct, and then I'm going to give you a slightly more MGTOW perspective, because that's not correct. So firstly, from the dictionary, quote, gynocentrism refers to a dominant or exclusive focus on women in theory or practice, or to the advocacy of this. Anything can be considered gynocentric when it is concerned exclusively with a female or specifically a feminist point of view. Now that's perfectly fine as a definition of gynocentrism, but clearly that's not the way the Western world is actually fucking run, so the MGTOWs are wrong. But let's take a look at them being even more wrong by giving you a more MGTOW definition, this time from gynocentrism.com, which people may remember from a video I did fucking ages ago, debunking, refuting and generally getting rather angry at their gynocentric history timeline, which was a load of old fucking shit. I'll leave a link to that video below. It's absolutely infuriating stuff, but you can watch me get angry at them, I suppose. But anyways, yes, our long-term friends over at gynocentrism.com define modern gynocentrism thusly, quote, gynocentrism refers to the developed economy with service industry where women can enter the labour force and gain financial independence from men. Which one, creates demand for more rights vis-a-vis men because there is no longer a trade-off as in traditional relationships, and two, renders women free to pursue increasing degrees of relational status as desired. These factors, in combination with the contraceptive pill, have given gynocentrism increased motility. Oh, sweet Jesus. Fucking hell, that is... that is shite. Firstly, motility really isn't an appropriate word to use there. That's more of a term in biology rather than in sociology, so that's not really correct. But sort of semantic nitpicking apart. Are you fucking joking? Seriously, that's your definition of gynocentrism. Basically, they seem to believe that gynocentrism is the ability for women to be essentially financially and societally free from the shackles of traditional marriage and basically being the servant of a man. They basically see women having societal freedom as an inherent negative. I mean, they're such fucking scumbags. But anyways, one final piece of MGTOW terminology that I wanted to take you through is this.
You guys are all just waiting for the NAWALT to come along.
Typical traditionalist men still cleaving for the NAWALT because of their desperation for children and family.
Yes, NAWALT. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, what the ever-loving fuck is that, Kev? It's basically an acronym. Well, technically an initialism, but let's not get bogged down in that fucking pointless argument. Anyway, it stands for Not All Women Are Like That. And it's used as a shorthand way of essentially describing the argument that's used against them when they say that all women are evil sluts, or when the MRAs say that all women are evil sluts, or when the PUAs say that all women are evil sluts, whatever, all of those fucking scumbags. When they use those sorts of horrifically fucking shitty arguments that group all women together as this inherent negative, the interlocutor in whatever discussion they happen to be having will say, well, not all women are like that, which is obviously the fucking case, and the MGTOW or MRA or PUA or neo-masculinist or basically prick who happens to be making the argument that all women are like that has no real comeback, because it's obvious that when you look at half of the human fucking race, half of our species, it's impossible to say that all of them are like X. That's obviously untrue. So it falls down there, right? So basically, when they say NAWALT, they're referring to, in their eyes, the mythical person that isn't like the thing they think all women are, which is evil sluts. So yeah, that's that. But it's also, as these things tend to on the internet, it's morphed into a slightly different thing as well now, where they will refer to actual human beings, be they hypothetical or real, with the phrase NAWALT. So they'll say that this person is a NAWALT, or that this person is described as a NAWALT. So they're actually referring to the person as NAWALT rather than as a concept as well, which is a slightly dehumanising way of using the English language to describe a person. But we're dealing with, MGTOWs who are atrocious human beings, so we really oughtn't be surprised. But it's intriguing that MGTOWs refer to women in such collective ways, because they get so unbelievably butthurt when you say that all men are like X, or that all men behave in Y manner. They get really, really fucking upset and offended by that. And that double standard we will see further exposed in the upcoming segment, because now it's time for... Yes, it's the inevitable bit about rape. Ah! Take it away, huMAN.
If a woman continually got raped through her life, or abused in every relationship she had, and she appears intelligent, conscious, articulate, and level-headed, and she's not being histrionic, but is simply telling you the facts of what happened to her, no guy would be saying,
"Stop whining. There are plenty of good men out there. No man probably wants you anyway. That's why you were treated like toilet paper. Grow up. Grow some ovaries and woman up. Not all men are like that,
Firstly, thanks for telling us how women should react when they've been raped. That's top tier mansplaining. Well done. And secondly, you're saying that men don't use the not all men argument. I mean, really? Because I could have sworn there was something that happened relatively recently on social media that was sort of exactly that. But I can't quite remember what that was. But come on, someone help me out here. What was the thing that happened? There was a message that was going round or something, like a kind of meme-y thing that was exactly the thing you said doesn't happen, but clearly does happen rather a lot. What was it? It was oh yeah, that's right. Hashtag not all men. That was literally a fucking thing. In fact, it literally is a thing. Although now it's mucked, rather, whatever. Right? It's a thing that happened that men used as a way of trying to derail conversations about rape and sexual assault. Yeah, that actually happened. And you know that happened, you fucking bullshitter. Also, you especially should know that men do use the not all men argument because you do it too.
Then the daughter says to me,
Fucking men. You guys are all like this.
I looked at her and said, yeah, that guy was an animal and he should be locked up for life, but we're not all like that.
You fucking prick. I mean, you really are an insufferable turd. I'm done. I'm fucking done. Let's wrap this shit up, shall we? huMAN, you are a really, really boring fucker. And, of course, a really irritating one too, which would seem like an impossible combination to pull off, but you managed it. Well done. Your woman hatred is hideous and toxic and you really ought to be ashamed of yourself. But the thing is, you're not like a young guy anymore. I'm not saying you're like really, really old or anything, but you're not like a young guy anymore. So I can't even say, well, I hope one day you'll grow out of it, because if that was going to happen, that probably would have happened already. So I mean, basically you're sort of a fucking write-off, aren't you? But anyways, whatever. huMAN, go fuck yourself.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. Smoky room, smell of one cheap perfume. For the drink they can share the night that goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Street lights, people living just to find emotion hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill. Paying anything to roll the dice just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some are gonna sing the blues. Of the movie never ends, it goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Street lights, people living just to find emotion hiding somewhere in the night. Rumpa ton tali, retiens ton tali. Quand on se tombe pendant ton nom de rentando, yo go go. Yo, 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 go, so go. Don't stop believing. Pull out to the feeling. Street lights, people, whoa, whoa. Don't stop believing. All out to the feeling. Street lights, people, whoa, whoa.